worldwide.
Now, every now and then, there'll be a case that pops up on our timelines. Makes absolutely no sense. We start to look at each other, and it's maybe it's a water cooler talk, and it's a conversation around the water cooler where we're like, who did it? Who done it? Who do you think did it? Now, in normal circumstances, a body is found in a car. The owner of the car is questioned. They'll proceed to go maybe possibly do some searches and look for evidence in a person's household if they can get a warrant for it. But this particular case involving David has me more perplexed than I've ever been in my whole life. I'm completely confused. Now, before we even get into it, because Harvey is telling us that apparently this happened, that there's some unexpected news that's popped up, and I'd love to hear about it. But before we get into it, I go by the name of Caesar, aka Mr. Sneaker Rider, and you're tuned in to Apparently This Happened. I appreciate one and all for locking in. I hope you guys are good. Do me a super solid. Like, comment, subscribe, tell a friend to tell a friend. Share this, hype me up, all that. Alright? Let's hear what Harvey has to say.
There is a big development in the David case. Neo, who was a very close friend of David's, has gone off on the singer in a big way.
What?
We thought up to this point the two of them were in lockstep. That is not the case. We obtained posts of Neo's that were posted today, actually Friday, on his close friends feature of Instagram. And it is very clear he is done with David. He begins with, "Thankfully, I'm legally fine in every way." Now, that refers to the fact that, remember, Neo was arrested for failing to appear before the grand jury that's investigating.
Right, so remember, there are a couple, in this whole case, there are a couple people who've been pulled in by the grand jury, I guess, to testify, right? But the weird thing is, in the midst of all of this, David has not been pulled in. Now, some allegations or some reports are saying that David has been cooperative. Other people are saying that he hasn't been too cooperative, right? So when something like this happens where Neo, I guess a close associate of his, who's pretty privy to what really happened, right? He's kind of distancing himself. And when you see people doing that, you see it in the Dirt case and all that, the possibility of people distancing themselves. Because at the end of the day, it all boils down to a simple term or phrase: self-preservation. When people start to think about themselves and, you know what, loyalty is cool and no snitching and all that, but I'm facing 25 years, man. Forget that.
The apparent murder of Celeste Rivas, and David is the prime suspect in that investigation. Neo was asked to testify, actually subpoenaed, didn't show. He was arrested, eventually showed up at the grand jury last month.
Hold on. I'm just curious. If you're subpoenaed to go, you know, and stand, you know, in front of the grand jury, what would make you fail to appear? Because usually people who fail to appear are people who are guilty, with the exception of a person who completely forgot and they were oblivious to the fact that, oh, on this particular date I was supposed to be in court. But what would make you fail to appear for something as major as this coming from the grand jury? What? I don't know, man. Again, this case has got so many winds, ups and downs, man, and yeah, it makes no sense to me. But I believe David did it. I'm just saying. I mean, he didn't do it alone. He had some people help him move the body, do this and do that, but people were aware, I think, of the alleged relationship that he had with this particular individual. The level of the relationship, I don't know. But from what I've been seeing, man, it seems kind of sketchy. And I'm sure you've seen it too.
Testified for about 40 minutes, so it is pretty clear he didn't say a lot, and then he was released. That's why he's saying, "I'm legally fine in every way." And he said, "And boy, do I got all my receipts for things, ha 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 ha." Now, he goes on to David. He says, "I think the worst part is that I've told so many people that I trust and I thought knew me as a person, my side of things. All for that to be thrown out the effing window as soon as I get arrested and they slap that dickhead's name next to mine. And for the record, The thing I was arrested for, I wasn't even charged. They never filed it, and my warrant was retracted because there is more to the story than what's on the news. So it seems that he is saying, number one, and by the way, his lawyer echoed this to us. His lawyer said that Neo has absolutely nothing to do with what the lawyer calls a heinous crime, and that Neo has been smeared on social media and in the court of public opinion. One of the reasons the lawyer is saying that is we broke this story that in the spring of last year,
Right.
David took a mysterious trip, at least that's the way authorities characterize it, mysterious trip from LA to Santa Barbara in the middle of the night in a remote area of Santa Barbara. And somebody else was in the car with him. There were a lot of people who were speculating that it was Neo who was in the car, and there was talk, rumors, that Celeste may have been in that car as well, although we have absolutely no knowledge of that. This was swirling around social media. Her body was found in the trunk of David's Tesla in front of his LA house in early September. So the question now is, what happened between Neo and David? Something clearly happened, and based on what we know, this may be somewhat of a surprise to David that this happened. I can't say more than that, but this may have caught David off guard that Neo has broken this way. And I think it's significant that whatever...
In my opinion, it's either something nefarious happened and everybody was covering for David when people were an accessory to the crime, moving the body from point A to point B. The fact that the body was found in front of his household, in his vehicle, man, is just beyond. It has me befuddled, man. I'm completely perplexed as to how come he's not in custody right now, right? But then I guess with forensics, the evidence and everything in between, with them doing an autopsy on the body and whatever was shown in the autopsy, right? It seems to me that maybe it's not as cut and dry. They have information, but they want it to be ironclad to bring him in. But at the same time, I'm like, this makes absolutely no sense unless, on the flip side, it was an accident. Something happened at the household, people panicked, and then they just did that. But then the weird part comes when you have a body in a trunk for, was it a month or a couple weeks? The body was found in the vehicle, and I'm sorry if it sounds graphic, but it was decomposed. Doesn't fit, bro.
Neo was involved in, he says nothing. He says he knows a lot about it. He says he knows a lot more that was in the news, and what has been in the news is a lot. And he's saying he knows a lot more. So it seems like he is just waving this in front of David, but something has happened between the two. In the meantime, we know that the grand jury had been meeting. They were supposed to meet this week. They did not. So we don't know if the grand jury has completed its investigation. The grand jury could recommend an indictment. Everything we're hearing is that an indictment is likely.
100%. An indictment has to happen. For sure. Because as I said, your house, your vehicle, it's lining up too perfectly. Unless this is one of those like movie type mysteries where it turns out that he was set up. Or he might be an accessory himself because somebody else did something and maybe that's his involvement in it. Either way, I'll say it again, it makes absolutely no sense.
And it could come soon. We don't have any kind of time frame. The DA's office has not given that to us. But again, there was no grand jury activity this week, and that's a sign that the grand jury may have done its job. We don't know if they voted yet, but stay tuned.
AI should be.
Well, with that being said, we shall see, because I've given all my brain power to this case, man, from the beginning of it to present. And I just can't wait at this particular point for justice to be served, because, like, I don't know, as a civilian, as a father, a girl dad, my mind is spinning and I'm just thinking, okay, what could have happened? How did that girl have so many liberties and so much freedom to be able to travel all over the place? Late night, hanging out with this guy, FaceTime, because I've seen some pictures of her and him, you know, and they seem to be in the same environments. And it's not regular environments. If you're with an artist who's pretty popular, right? As a young girl, I think she's 15, how are you around this man, this dude? And then obviously people know about whatever was happening around them. They were seeing this, right? So yet again, it's like the R. Kelly case, man. Is it just him who's guilty, or is everybody around him guilty? We'll get to see. I go by the name of Caesar, aka Mr. Sneaker Rider, and you're tuned in to Apparently This Happened, and apparently an indictment is on the way. And we're gonna see it, I hope. Alright? Like, comment, subscribe, tell a friend to tell a friend. Don't chase the number, chase the dream, man. Keep your vibes and your frequency all the way up. Alright? And stay consistent. That's my word for this video. Consistency. Alright? I'll get up with you guys in a second, man. One.
Worldwide.